Here's the exact blueprint that Rosé used to go from being the most underappreciated member of Blackpink to being the very first K-pop artist to ever win the Song of the Year at the VMAs, becoming impossible to ignore, and how you can too. In my previous video, we talked about how Rosé weaponized being the overlooked one, how she turned her softness into strategy and power in silence. Well, you've been asking for the how-to, and honestly, I'm super excited to break this down for you, because this isn't just about K-pop or celebrities. This is life strategies. And here's what I love about this. You don't need Bruno Mars's phone number or a record deal to implement what we're about to cover. You just need to understand the psychology behind what makes someone so magnetically authentic. So let's dive into the 5-step Rosé blueprint that you can implement today. The first step is to know your weaknesses so that you can transform your perceived flaws. First things first, we need to do what I call a weakness audit. And this is exactly what Rosé did when all the industry insiders and the K-netizens were calling her the least biased member. Instead of panicking or trying to be someone else, she got curious about it. So here's your action step. Grab a notebook and write down 3 things about yourself that you've been seeing or have heard people say that is a weakness or an obstacle. Maybe you're too sensitive, too introverted, too detail-oriented, whatever it is, write it down. And here's the reframe. For each one, write down how this could actually be a superpower in disguise. Too sensitive? That means you have emotional intelligence that most people lack. Too introverted? That means you're more comfortable with depth over surface-level conversations. Too detail-oriented? That means you catch things other people miss. For Rosé, being seen as the least biased member and being seen as too soft for the K-pop industry could have been devastating. Instead, she took that softness and made it her signature. She didn't try to be more aggressive or edgy, which was what people expected her to be, but she leaned into her gentle nature, making it feel precious and exclusive. When fans heard her voice, they weren't just hearing another powerful vocalist. They were hearing her vulnerability and authenticity that felt rare in a world full of manufactured personas. She turned her perceived lack of star quality into the exact thing that made her irreplaceable. Her softness became her strength because it was genuine in a world full of performance. The key here is that Rosé didn't just accept being quiet. She made it her kind of quiet that feels exclusive. She made it seem like she had secrets worth discovering, which made the audience feel like they had to keep listening to her music. They just had to be constantly engaged and couldn't look away. So how can you make your perceived weaknesses feel like an asset? Step 2 is where you align your actions with your nature. This is where most people go wrong. They think authenticity means just being yourself without any strategy behind it. But Rosé shows us that authenticity can be incredibly strategic when done right. When Rosé released On the Ground and Gone, she wasn't trying to compete with Blackpink's girl crush energy. She wasn't jumping around on stage, she wasn't hit banging, she wasn't rapping. She leaned into her vulnerability, introspection, and emotions. Everything that felt natural to her, even if it wasn't what the industry expected or wanted her to be. So your action step? Identify your natural strengths and tendencies. Are you naturally creative, analytical, people-focused, detail-oriented? Whatever it is, instead of fighting against it, start building your reputation around it. Here's a practical example. Let's just say you're naturally introverted and prefer deep conversations over small talk and are just averse to situations like networking. Instead of forcing yourself to work around the room, become known as the person who has those meaningful one-on-one conversations that people will always remember. Quality over quantity, just like Rosé's approach to her music. And maybe you're naturally systematic and love processes. Instead of seeing this as boring, become the person that makes systems actually work. People will start coming to you because you make complicated things simple. For me personally, after 24 years of living, I finally accepted that I'm meant to be a creative and I thrive much better in creative, free environments as compared to the structured 9 to 6 workflow. Which is exactly why you see me now posting creative projects, making YouTube videos, being more active on TikTok as compared to before, because this is exactly what I find fills my soul and gives me creative fulfillment. I don't need to be the best at it, I just need to enjoy what I'm doing. The key is this: stop trying to be good at everything and start being exceptional at the things that feel the most natural to you. That's where your magnetic authenticity lives. Step 3 is where you're going to start implementing your strategic silence. This is the one where everyone gets wrong, so pay attention. Strategic silence doesn't just mean being inactive or lazy. It means working insanely hard on your craft while being selective about what you show publicly and to whom. Rosé worked in silence for months, taking vocal lessons, refining her sound, learning and improving, all behind the scenes. You might think this sounds like a duh moment, but think about it. How many different celebrity or influencer passion projects have you heard about in just the last month alone? Celebrities are often very vocal about their endeavors and tend to make themselves very visible and cast a spotlight on their individual projects because of course they can. They have the attention and the eyeballs needed to make a project thrive and survive. But not Rosé. While her Blackpink sisters were announcing their collaborations, their labels, and their next moves, Rosé went ghost. She was in vocal studios, she was writing, she was experimenting with sounds, collaborating with producers. But none of us knew about it. She understood that the anticipation she was building through her absence was actually more valuable than constant updates. When she finally emerged with Apatı, it felt like this whole event because people didn't see it coming. The song didn't need a massive promotional campaign because the mystery itself had become the marketing. So here's how you're going to implement this step by step strategically. Step 1 is your foundation building phase. Choose one skill that's essential to your goals and commit to improving it consistently. This could be public speaking, writing, coding, whatever aligns with where you want to go. But here's the key. Don't post about it every day. Don't go around bragging about what you've done. Don't tell the whole world. Phase 2 is the depth work. While others are posting about their 30-day streak or their goals for the week, you're going deep. You're reading the books that others won't read, taking the courses that others think are too basic or boring, practicing the fundamentals until they become automatic. And phase 3, the strategic review. Now when you do share your work or make your move, it comes from a place of genuine competence and confidence. People notice and give you attention because the quality of your work speaks for itself. The psychological principle here is that mystery creates value. When people can't track your every move, your success feels more significant. Step 4, the gradual disclosure. So this is exactly how you're going to share your story and build connection without oversharing. Rosé has mastered this, where her fans feel like they're getting to know the real her, but she's still very intentional about what she reveals and when, as she should, because I'm sure these stories and experiences are ones that she holds very near and dear to her heart. So to do this, you have to spend more time learning and building than sharing. Don't get dependent on other people's validations, what their thoughts of your projects or your progress are. Get comfortable with your own thoughts and your own company, making sure that you're okay being 100% alone, so that you know when you make a decision, that decision is 100% yours, not influenced by someone else's opinions or what they think of you. Your project will be 100% true to you and what you have to say to the world. Think about how Rosé shared her journey. For years, all we knew was Rosé from Blackpink, the sweet vocalist with the angelic voice. Then slowly, through her solo work, we started seeing glimpses of Roseanne Park, the person. On the Ground gave us a peek into her thoughts about success and staying grounded. Then with Apatı, we saw her playful and fun side through a simple drinking game with friends. And now with her album Rosie, she's sharing even more vulnerable parts of her story, her experiences with toxic relationships, her growth as a woman in her 20s. But notice how each revelation feels earned, like she's trusted us with something precious and that she felt that it was now time to finally share her story. And finally, step 5. Quality over quantity. Rosé doesn't release music constantly, but when she does, it makes an impact. This is opposite of the content creation advice that you've probably heard about posting daily. Look at Rosé's discography. It's intentionally curated. Her 2021 solo debut was just 2 songs, but both On the Ground and Gone both became defining tracks that showed who she truly was as an artist. Then radio silence for years while she perfected her craft. And now even with Rosie, she didn't rush to put out a full-length album just because that's what artists are expected to do. Of course, we'll never know the real reason until she fully discloses it, but seeing as to how genuine she is and how sacred she treats her music, it's not too far of a reach to guess that she just felt that there weren't songs that were good enough to be put on this album just yet. That she wanted to wait for the right time for her to share other parts of her story. She could have easily filled an album with decent tracks, but she chose to wait until every song felt essential, until every song served the narrative she wanted to tell. This approach made every release feel significant instead of just another drop in an oversaturated market. When Rosé speaks, people listen because they know she only speaks when she has something meaningful to say. The psychological principle here is that scarcity increases perceived value. When your output is selective but high quality, people pay more attention. So here's how to apply quality over quantity to your goals. For skill development, instead of jumping back and forth between trending skills, pick 2 to 3 core competencies that you feel attracted to and get genuinely good at them. Depth over breadth. For networking, instead of trying to meet everyone, focus on building genuine and real relationships with people who feel naturally aligned with your goals and values. For projects, instead of saying yes to everything, be selective about what you commit to, and then execute it exceptionally well. Now here's how you put all of this together. Pick one area of your life where you want to apply this Rosé blueprint. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's a creative project, maybe it's building your personal brand. Start with the weakness audit. Identify what you've been seeing as a limitation and reframe it as a potential strength. And align your actions with your authentic nature instead of fighting against it. Implement strategic silence. Work consistently on your craft without feeling the need to always announce what you're working on. Use gradual disclosure to build genuine connection without oversharing. And commit to quality over quantity in everything you produce. Because here's what Rosé's journey really teaches us. Success isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the voice that people can't stop thinking about. And honestly, in a world full of noise, that's exactly the kind of presence we need more of. So tell me in the comments, in which area of your life are you going to apply this Rosé blueprint? Share it to your loved one who may need to hear that being quiet might just be their greatest asset. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, and your dreams. I'll see you in the next video very soon.